Good morning. It's not quite April. It's the 31st of March. I just watched the video of the Prophecy Club. Probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have just gotten up and gotten to work here. I want to urge you today to get these Bibles. The dollar is about to lose its value in a drastic fashion. We aren't going to be able to, I don't think we're going to be able to get things done much more. I think what we got on hand, we got. So if you want to get the best copy, in my opinion, a good copy, definitely a good copy, the most accurate Bible possible, then get the proper name version of the King James Bible. I know a lot of people out there are insisting that the King James Version is the Bible, and that's all there is to it. Well, I think it's pretty good, and we're used to it. We all like it quite a bit, but it's not accurate enough. Not for me. And I'm hoping, and I'll be talking with my sponsor, with the publisher, about getting that parallel version out, King James, side by side with the proper name version. There's that much in differences that I think we're going to benefit from that. It's going to sell more Bibles, especially to the people that want to study it, especially the people that have become reliant upon the King James Version. That's what I want to see. The proper name version of the King James Bible is proving to be a little bit different. I'm going to get it out and I'm going to read it first before I actually go on video and go through the next section. But heck, I could probably read that right now. I'm trying to avoid the advanced stuff, although I'm covering the advanced stuff. I'm taking it to the outer limits. I'm showing you how I think, and the idea of sharing with you my thinking is so that you will learn from it, and you will understand my approach, and you will understand the open-mindedness that I bring to it, and how important that is. Because I truly believe that you can buy all of these guides, you can buy all of these commentaries, and you can get screwed up. However, if you're reading it yourself, the Holy Spirit will speak to you. The Bible will speak to you. The Word will speak to you, and you're going to understand it much better. You're going to build that Holy Spirit within yourself, and you're actually going to be building yourself up. I know some of you don't like that idea, but I think this kind of building is a good building. This stuff that's going on, they're putting on a big show for us, and a lot of this parts of this current play, if you will, come out of the big book. So the archetypes, the themes, the names, the word similarities are even being used to draw into ideas from the Bible. The same thing happens with the Shakespearean plays. As you know, William Shakespeare was, if you haven't listened to me before, William Shakespeare was a horse handler on the Kent estate. He was an illiterate man. There are only 4 examples of his handwriting in existence. I think I've seen pictures of them. I think they were like X's, and one looked like an XS, and one looked like a T. In other words, the fellow was illiterate. He couldn't write anything. I don't think he could read. He was the front man, and the fellow who wrote the plays was Sir Francis Bacon. That's the name he went by. His father was a Kent, and his mother was the Queen of England. I don't think he was a nice man. I really can't answer that question very well. I'm thinking that he got his better side from the Kents, and I'm thinking there was probably a problem with the Queen in particular, but I don't know. I don't really know. Likewise, there's the Kent estate. The Kent, well, It was a land grant by the King of England given in 1649. I'm hoping you folks in England will hear this, and some of you scholarly types, some of you young people in universities will go into the libraries or go into the monasteries and go look up these things in literature. I want to find out the name of Mr. Kent, that was the Queen's consort, that gave Queen Elizabeth 2 male children, 2 boys, 2 sons. And just to let you know why I don't think they were very nice is that William Shakespeare was murdered. He didn't die a natural death. And somebody set up Ben Jonson to murder William Shakespeare. So that's another challenge I give to you people over in Great Britain. Solve the murder of William Shakespeare. I'm going to tell you right now, from the lectures I got a long time ago, Ben Jonson, the most famous playwright in England, above board, above ground. He was only number 2, and he was jealous, I think. He was heard bragging in the pub that he had put a little arsenic in the old sot beer. Now, did he do that on his own, or was he put up to it? And who put him up to it? And after that, William Shakespeare, the playwright, retired. Or Sir Francis Bacon, the playwright, retired. And then he took on a new project. And that project was overseeing the production of the 1611 King James Version. Now, King James was not a nice guy. We have to thank Charles Dickinson. I don't have the book, but there's an introduction to a book out there. A friend of mine named Charles told me about this. He doesn't have the book anymore either. And the introduction by Charles Dickens is about 2 pages or 4 pages long. It's long, and it's all about how wicked King James was. It was stated he was homosexual. Okay, granted, that's not the most wicked. He was a pedophile. Now, that's a little bit on the wicked side, no? Would we not agree? He liked killing. He was bloodthirsty, apparently. Don't know if he drank blood or did any of this sacrifice stuff that we hear about and read about, but he was supposed to be a really bad man, a really evil man. Now, I know some of you are going to say, oh man, God used him. God can use anybody. Well, what if they were setting this thing up in order to just control people? What if they were doing their best to set up, I don't want to go into that stuff right now. Forgive me for my digression. What do you need to know today? What's the message today? There's folks out there that are talking about some serious prophecy right now. And the sad thing is it's lining up. There's no denying it. You've got people out there that are trying to hawk their wares and sell things. And all I want to do is sell you the Bible. I'm not asking for donations. I don't want donations. This is not a modern day church. This is not a 501c3. This is not a nonprofit institution, a nonprofit government organization or a nonprofit corporation that has whatever. But we're about to see some things happen. They're going to be pretty incredible. We've already seen things happening. And I'm going to tell you that my view of the Antichrist from reading the Bible and observing over many years is that there's 2 different forms of Antichrist conveyed in the Bible. One is an individual man who will one day be marched out for all the world to see, and the world will marvel at the man who deceived the world. The other is an institution, a corporation that's deceiving the world. So that's the way I'm reading it. We're going to get into that Bible reading here pretty soon. I've been exercising It feels pretty good. Got an excellent trainer. Been friends for a long time. And the other day I made myself laugh. I chuckled when I told him to grow up. And, he knows I meant it in a loving fashion because we're both old men. And he's more grown up than I am, even though he's younger than I am. Not much younger, but 3 years younger. Yeah, good solid 3 years younger, maybe a little bit more, maybe 3.5, that magic number that's bannered out there in the Bible and all that. What makes him more mature than I is the fact he's a father. And when I worked as an intern, Region 3 Mental Health Center in Tupelo, Mississippi, and my boss was right, I would miss those days and they would be the happiest days of my life. I lived out of boxes. I used a box for a nightstand next to my mattress that was on the floor. There was a dining room table in the apartment, and the manager said I could have it and use it, provided I left it there when I left. And I think I had one chair, 400 square feet. But I was loving it. I was working. I was making an honest living. I was definitely given more value than I was receiving. Heck, I could have qualified for food stamps if I didn't have such a fine automobile. You can't own anything decent. And I had a car worth more than $3,000. Yes, it was that bad. I thought about it. Gee, back then, to get a shirt starched at the laundromat was only $1.59 or $1.49. It was pretty cheap. I think the last time I went, it was like $6.50. I went and did it and paid for it and hung it up thinking, man, I'm going to be careful the next time I wear that shirt. But you got to clean shirts if you want them to last. The Father, the Son is the Father to the man is kind of a great mystery. It's pretty simple when you think about it. We don't grow up nearly the same when we don't have children. And what I observed as working there as an intern, Region 3 Mental Health, was that the people that I worked with, as well as the people I was seeing that had children, had a level of maturity the rest of us didn't have. People that don't have children never achieve that level of maturity. So in a very real sense, the child is the father to the man. Because you people with children out there, you get to grow to a higher level than the rest of us do. You get an entire different level of understanding and existence. Oh, heck, as those kids ask you questions and question you, and you get to remember yourself and you reflect upon your days and your childhood and what you did with your parents, it's kind of precious. I got to see some of those moments. Some people shared those with me. Folks, we really need to support families. We need to support marriage. The United States is about to get shaken, literally shaken and reduced. You got to be careful. I don't believe these things that I'm hearing from people that look really nice and they've got all the forms of righteousness. They live right. They mind their P's and Q's. They dress conservatively and very appropriately. And I'm certain that they lead pretty good lives. Probably better than the life that I've lived and better than the life I'm living. I want you to think about this. If you really want economic stimulus, you have children. If you really want to know what a stimulus program looks like, there's nothing more motivating than your own child and looking at that child and realize, I've got to provide. I want to provide. I'm going to give him or her the world, everything I can. And ladies, I don't think you understand this, but that's how we men look at you. We actually, cherish is the word, that's been used for quite a while, and I think that's an appropriate word. Women don't cherish men. We don't ask women to cherish men. We don't put that in the vows at all. We're to cherish you. And what's behind that is that with the old traditions, that meant a man was willing to sacrifice his life to save his wife. It meant his life was on the line. And because we did that, the old tradition was that the woman obeyed us. Why did she have to obey us? Well, if we were getting attacked, or if something really bad was happening, and he says duck, and she doesn't duck, maybe she's gone. If he says don't look back, don't turn back, don't look at Sodom and Gomorrah, maybe his wife wouldn't have turned to a pillar of salt. So that's why it's honor and obey. Without respect, there can be no love. A woman who does not respect a man, her man or any man, there's no love. It's not possible. That's why men, if there's a lack of respect, leave the battlefield, leave the playing ground, leave the scene. There is no love there. No love is possible there. So that's what's important for men. We want to be respected. We are a little bit more logical. We're more even-keeled. We're not subject to the cycles that you women are subject to. We're not subject to the hormonal shifts and imbalances. And let's face it, that we aren't the same. And those shifts and imbalances are very real. And men do suffer from it. Yeah, we do. But women suffer from it a lot, especially postpartum depression. I'm an old man, and I still don't understand that stuff. I still have trouble coming to grips with that. And we men do need reminding that about a third of you ladies out there, after having children, need some shoring up. You need some TLC. You need a safe space. You need to be coddled and protected and nurtured at that point. You've got to recover from something. What you've done and what you've been through is profound. And most men love you for it and appreciate you for it. And you don't understand that's why we would sacrifice our lives for you. We're coming into a period in which there's going to be a lot of rebellion. And the Civil War isn't going to be started by us patriots. It's going to be started by the other side. They're going to start this Civil War, and we're not going to have much of a chance. We're not going to have much of a choice. We're going to be defending our very lives. We're going to be defending our wives and our children. So the ugly communists among us are going to rear their ugly heads. Now, George Washington had a vision. And I don't trust this vision necessarily because it was recorded not that long before the Civil War. But supposedly it was, I don't know if it was a slave, a servant, a bonded servant or a member of his household, or somebody that just was near and dear to him. But apparently George Washington had dreams. And each night an angel would come and visit him in his dreams and give him a vision. And in the first dream, he was shown the Civil War. And in that dream, a black cloud would rise over the continent of Africa, and it would drift over to North America, and it would settle on the land like a fog, and we would fight in that fog. So this was a dream, a vision of the Civil War. You have to remember the bad guys were around back then, and they were doing all kinds of stuff and planning stuff. So this could have been planted. That's being open-minded. So I share that with you because I don't want you running around saying that what Dr. Kent said, George Washington said. We don't have it from George Washington. We don't know where it came from. It might have been planted by the enemy. The second time the angel visited, I guess there was I think the angel, it was a male angel, and it was son of the revolution arise and see, something to that effect. So it had some glorious language, if you will. And who knows, maybe it was a fallen angel. Got to think openly. And in the second one, he was shown World War One. And in the third one, he was shown World War II. And I don't remember the imagery of this stuff. I don't remember if I heard this or read this at this point. I apologize. I can't remember everything. And the third night, actually, it was probably the fourth night. I don't know if this happened at the same night in several visitations or if it was different nights. In this vision, red clouds appeared off every continent in the world, maybe except North America. I don't remember that detail. Put it in the notes if you know where this references, if you know where to find these stories at, folks. And in this one, all of these red clouds that came up off all of the continents of the world converged, drifted upon North America and settled. And we fought among ourselves. And that supposedly is another civil war for us. Now, I'm going to tell you it's not an act of rebellion. It's a revolutionary war, actually, because it will be a return to self-rule. But here's the problem. During that, we're going to be attacked from outside. Those of you who think that America is the greatest and best country, best nation in the world, they don't think that about us outside. They used to love us. They loved us. And I went outside the nation. I lived outside for 3 years. And they loved us at that time. In the 1950s, we were making everything. And we were touted as being the ones that saved them. And so they respected us and they loved us. And we were well received everywhere. I don't think it was a smile in the faces backstabbing thing either. I was a little boy. You know, children can detect lies a little bit better. Last time I went abroad, though, and I was in college and lived in Europe again, and they didn't like us too much. They didn't think much of us. There was demonstrations darn near riots in the street, and I remember going to a concert in Rome and a couple lady friends at the time, and they were fluent in Italian, and I wasn't, and we walked among the protesters, and these guys would take sheets of newspapers, take them up, light up the end of it, and they would throw it up, kind of like a flag. And of course, I want to know what's going on. Those were the communists inside of Italy demonstrating. And my two friends didn't like the United States very much, so they stayed in Italy. That's where they made their home, was in Florence. And they weren't students at the university either. I think one of them worked with us, for us. I can't remember their roles very well, but I do remember those demonstrations, which happened all the time. And they were burning American flags all the time, Italian flags all the time. It was kind of scary, but that's the way it was in Rome. And those were the communists. And my two friends, the point I was trying to get at is they say that the United States is fascist. That's what they said at the time. There's subtle differences. I still don't quite understand them. There are problems. And that was because, the corporations run the country. Sometimes the government runs the corporations. I guess in one direction it's called one thing and in the other direction the other thing, but I don't like any of them. So we have a problem. And of course, our founding fathers would never have allowed corporations to come into existence. They knew how bad corporations were. They knew the history of the East India Company. They knew that corporations just wreak havoc on the face of the earth, and we're very dangerous. That's the way it is. I mean, I don't think we should have them either, because if you want to be a free people, you have to be a responsible people. And what that means is that you can't hide your assets. You can't hide them from other people under some fictitious entity, under another business name. If you're going to be a free man, you have to be a responsible man, which means if you injure somebody, you damage somebody. If you injure them, you have to make them whole. So they have to have access to your assets should you damage them. And of course, I want to make a man whole if I've done some damage to him. I mean, good men want to make other men whole. Good men don't want something for nothing. We want to earn our way. We want to provide a service or a good in exchange for another service or a good. That's what the heart of capitalism was to be, or should I say free enterprise, because this capitalism we have doesn't look too good. For one, we don't have honest money. We're not going to get that. We're going to be coming apart. These jackasses that run the nation, that run the country from behind the scenes, run the world, they've been planning this. Their families have been planning this, and they're going to carry out their father's will. They're going to take us down. They're going to take the whole planet down at this point. Folks, I don't know what to tell you. Get your guns and get your Bibles. Keep your powder dry, as my brother says. I need you to understand that we're going to be facing some terrible troubles here. There's no way around this. I want to impress upon you that we are Israel. We are the descendants of the Israelites. We're from the lost 10 tribes that were never lost to Yahweh. Creator Father knows where every one of us is. Read the Bible and allow Creator Father to work through you. Allow Him to shore you up. Allow Him to protect you and to guide you. Allow Him to fight your battles for you. I do think that we may have other beings right here present, that there may be other dimensions within the empty space of these atoms, which is mostly empty space, and that we may be walking with them all the time and not realize it. They might be with us all the time. But I also think there's good guys and bad guys in that realm. We shouldn't be worshiping those in that realm. Now, my retired police officer friend would say that we are feeding the lower levels of this other dimension, these other beings, and I don't think he thinks it's in another dimension. I think he thinks they're right here now on the planet. Folks, I just don't know about that. I do think that we've got fallen angels among us, and I think occasionally we get a real angel, a good one, among us that comes through as well. I don't think we understand what we're dealing with. We just make assumptions based upon who we are and what we are, and we can't imagine a man, a biped, whatever you want to call him at this point, would ever be that wicked or that evil. Nobody's that bad. Nobody's that good either, I guess. Well, I've gone on long enough. I'm going to end this right now. I'm keeping this under a half hour. I hope you get something from this. Do buy those Bibles. They're never going to be cheaper. The dollar is going to be losing so much value that the next set of... The publisher doesn't even know this yet, but he's going to be jacking up those prices because he's not going to be able to replace them for anywhere near what he got them before. We are going to see the purchasing value of this country diminish vastly. We're going to lose our world reserve currency status in short order. That's what this current president, or should I say the real president behind this acting president, and they are a bunch of actors, folks. And if you read the Bible, you realize they're pulling from the play that they're presenting to us from the Bible. You'll realize that we've been deceived to a large extent. You'll realize also that by reading that Bible, you're going to be getting inklings of the deception that's going on, and you're going to be able to break free of this deceptive thing. My police chief, police whatever producer buddy who hasn't taken the job yet would say that we're in the matrix and they're doing this stuff to us. And I actually don't want to disagree with him. I mean, I can argue for him too, but I really think that the matrix and the computer system, if you will, is pretty grand that we're living in. If that's the case, I wouldn't be surprised if there was code encoding everywhere, including right down to our own blood. And I think that's what makes us different from the others, is that everything's different. Our hair is different. Yeah. Blood is different. You know, I mean, there's a lot of differences there. The differences are vast. And I do want to emphasize that the Bible is very clear, kind after kind. So shore up your brothers, circle the wagons, folks. Hopefully I'll open that Bible up and I'm way beyond my 30-minute mark. Enjoy the day, fellows.